Sigrika is finally confirmed, but for me, she kind of leaves a lot of questions. Sure, we kind of know what her element is going to be, like we kind of know she's a gauntlet user, we even kind of know she needs Choiwen to prop her up with echo skill buffs. But exactly what is her deal? What is her gimmick? Why should we put our money on her when Carthia is the arrow meta? Let's talk. Yo, welcome back to the channel. Kemusta sa inyong lahat. Her splash art finally dropped, and I am not exaggerating when I say this was one of the reveals I have personally been waiting on since the early character previews. There were a lot of characters teased early on, but some designs just stick in your brain and refuse to leave. Sigrika was one of those for me. The moment we saw early glimpses of her concept, I already knew she was going to be dangerous for my currency savings. And now that the official splash is out, I feel both validated and attacked at the same time. The warm color palette is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. There's this really comfortable, almost storybook warmth to the art. It feels inviting, but also powerful in a quiet way. It's not screaming for attention, it's just sitting there confidently, knowing it looks incredible. The hair is honestly doing illegal levels of work. The bright orange tone paired with those sharp green eyes creates this contrast that is extremely memorable. It's the kind of design that makes you recognize the character instantly, even if you just see a silhouette. That is usually a sign of a really strong visual identity. Alright, be honest, you already know you want this redhead on your account, especially with all the new and returning units coming in version 3.2. With the anniversary patch right around the corner, it is officially saving season for Asterites. Unfortunately, it never feels like enough. If you need extra help in saving Lunites and Asterites, check out my U7 buy link down in the description and pinned comments, or use my code VeeDizzy. U7 buy has been around since 2003 and has began to expand into the gacha space, offering some of the cheapest prices in top-up for Wuthering Waves, with savings up to 26%. With 4.7 rating in Trustpilot, they are definitely reliable, with top-ups in less than 5 minutes. And if that's not enough reason for you, U7 Buy also offers what they call trusted top-ups, where you only provide your user ID, and U7 Buy will top it off without asking for your password or making you do and complete the top-up yourself. This is totally insane. They are the safest top-up sites on the planet. So yeah, if you want cheaper than in-game top-ups and keep your account absolutely safe, follow the link down in my description and pinned comments, or use my code VeeDizzy for U7 Buy. It's a safe way to save on top-ups while supporting the channel. Spend responsibly. Or not, it's up to you. Now back to the topic. I know she's not necessarily the most universally hyped character from that batch, and that's fine. Every roster has the fan favorites, and then the characters that quietly build extremely loyal followings. Personally, I am fully locked in. If she somehow ended up being unpopular, I would still be sitting here like the last employee in the office, defending her design like it's my job. From a pure art standpoint, I genuinely think this is one of the strongest splash arts they have produced. The composition feels intentional, the lighting feels warm without washing out detail, and the overall vibe fits perfectly into the tone Wuthering Waves has been building with its character presentation. Now here is where things get interesting, because right now we still do not have full official kit information, which means speculation season is open, and speculation season is my favorite time, because it lets us connect patterns from previous releases and try to predict where things might go. One of the biggest clues we have right now is the existence of echo sets that currently do not have strong dedicated users. And historically, when this game introduces a set that feels oddly specific, it usually means a future character is being set up to take advantage of it. Sound of True Name is one of the most suspicious ones right now. On paper, you can technically put it on certain characters, but realistically, it feels like it is waiting for someone who is built around echo skill damage output. The combination of echo skill crit rate and additional elemental bonus feels very targeted rather than general use. If Sigrika ends up being an echo skill-focused damage dealer, or even a hybrid sub-DPS, that set immediately starts to feel like it finally has a real home. And if that happens, it could quietly increase the value of several existing characters that already thrive in echo skill-focused playstyles. This kind of retroactive synergy is something the game has historically leaned into. In Sigrika's case, the obvious beneficiaries would be Choywin and Cantarella, and potentially even Frolova, depending on how her final numbers and interactions land. And this would not be the first time the developers have done something like this. There have been cases where a mechanic exists in a weaker state, and then later a character releases that suddenly makes it relevant. It creates this delayed payoff effect that makes older systems feel fresh again. Also, if this ends up being her signature set, it strongly reinforces the idea that she could be an arrow-focused damage dealer. Honestly, between this set and the 4-cost Echo, it practically shouts Arrow Echo Skill Resonator. Personally, though, I am still hoping she lands in Glacio. It has been a long time since we received a new Glacio Resonator, and the element genuinely feels overdue for fresh representation. The big unknown right now is her attribute, because that is going to heavily influence which direction she leans into. If she ends up being fusion-aligned, chromatic foam immediately becomes extremely interesting. If she leans toward an arrow-style damage profile, then suddenly the echo skill-focused direction becomes much more believable. And honestly, there is always the possibility that they do something completely unexpected. This game has a history of breaking patterns just when players start to feel comfortable predicting release logic. Banner structure alone has already proven that we cannot assume anything is guaranteed. If I'm being completely honest, my personal hope is that she ends up synergizing with echo skill-focused teams, not just because it would be strong, but because it would open up more team-building diversity. Characters that create new archetypes tend to age extremely well in games like this. Now, let us talk weapon speculation for a second. And honestly, this is the part I trust the least, because visual design and actual weapon class rarely line up perfectly in this game. You can look at a character and feel absolutely convinced you know what weapon they use, and then the official reveal drops and you realize you were living in a fantasy world. The only real reason weapon matters early is accessibility. Some weapon categories have extremely strong general options that make characters easier to build without signature gear. Others can be more restrictive depending on scaling and passive synergy. But right now, we simply do not have enough information to lock anything in. So personally, I am preparing for the very real possibility that whatever weapon I think she uses could end up being completely wrong. The reality is that there are currently no weapons that are clearly designed around Echo's skill damage scaling, and that could end up being a real limitation depending on how her kit is structured. Stepping back a bit, an Arrow DPS Sigrika would mean a lot of things for the meta. The first question is how different she is actually going to be compared to Karatea. Obviously, she is unlikely to deal arrow erosion, so Karatea's place in the meta should remain safe. But if Sigrika ends up being a more traditional arrow damage dealer without tune break mechanics tied to her kit, then the real comparison starts shifting toward Jian. Realistically, this is where things get interesting. Jian can still clear content, but at this point he struggles to consistently 3-star the hardest stages. Enemy HP inflation is real, and close-range combat has become significantly more punishing. So if Sigrika fills that role, she could effectively function as a direct power upgrade over Jian. The real question then becomes not whether she is stronger than Jian, but how she ultimately stacks up against Karatea at the highest levels of play. It is still too early to pass judgment here, but my hope is that she will be good enough against specific types of enemies in the game. Perhaps Kudo is releasing enemies with high resistance to negative status effects. I mean, this is very possible. If that is the case, then she is well positioned to take over enemies Karatea can't handle. For now, all we can really do is wait for official kit reveals and more gameplay previews. But if first impressions mean anything, Sigrika feels like she is going to be important. Maybe not loud, maybe not instantly meta-defining, but potentially one of those characters that ages extremely well over time. As always, if this video resonated with you, please leave a like and subscribe. Ring that bell for massive gacha luck and maybe a sandwich. Thank you so much for watching, maraming salamat po, and I will see you in my next video drop. Goodbye.